It came in the form of a forwarded email from my cousin Miles. Subject line: Final headcount, Family Reunion 2024, please reply ASAP. I opened it expecting the usual: a group plan, some chaos, maybe a few passive-aggressive jokes about who still owed money from last year. What I didn't expect was a fully formatted itinerary. 3 days. Vineyard estate. Catered meals. Personalized name cards. Lodging assignments. Everything was listed. Everyone was accounted for. Except me. At first, I thought I'd missed something. I scrolled back up. Then down. Checked the room assignments. Read through the seating chart. Even looked at the headcount section at the bottom. There were 57 names. Mine wasn't one of them. But I was on the CC list. I was meant to see it. No one had forgotten to include me, they just assumed I wasn't coming. No, not assumed. Decided. I stared at the screen for a while. Not angry. Just suspended. I'd been here before, in different forms. Left off the group text for Caroline's baby shower. Added late to the RSVP for Uncle Ron's retirement dinner. Assigned the fold-up chair at the kids' table. During Thanksgiving, at 28 years old. They always had a reason. You live so far. We weren't sure you'd be around. We thought you were busy. And I always gave them the benefit of the doubt. But this? Seeing my entire family booked into a full weekend of meals and memory-making while I sat outside the spreadsheet? This wasn't a scheduling issue. It was a signal. I replied to Miles with one line. Hey, looks like I'm not on the list. He responded 10 minutes later. Yeah, sorry. Just figured you were out this year. You've been kinda quiet in the group chat and didn't fill out the early RSVP form. That's how easy it was for him to justify it. Not even a, want us to fix it? Just a vague, guilt-shifting shrug in email form. As if my silence had been permission. As if the cost of not jumping to remind them I existed was forfeiting my place at the table. That night, I didn't tell anyone what happened. Didn't forward the message. Didn't rage text my best friend. I just sat with it. I opened a folder I hadn't touched in months, where I'd saved screenshots of unanswered messages, ignored invitations, even Venmo transactions I'd sent for events I never made the final photos for. It was all there. Not because I meant to collect evidence, but because something in me had started keeping track when I realized they weren't. The more I looked at that itinerary, the clearer it became. This reunion wasn't something I'd been excluded from last minute. It had been designed without me from the start. They'd assigned rooms. Made dietary notes. Even listed who was speaking during the Heritage Toast, Saturday night. They'd written the whole weekend like I didn't exist. And now they were asking for final confirmations, to close the guest list, lock in the caterer, and print the place cards. That's when the thought came. If they didn't want me at the table, what would happen if I made sure the table never got set? I didn't respond to Miles again. There was nothing else to say. He'd given me his answer, and I believed him. Instead, I opened the itinerary again, not as a guest, but as an analyst. I looked at the vendor list. A vineyard estate I recognized from a wedding last year. The caterer, the equipment rentals, the custom signage, all sourced from places that required deposits and signatures, most of them still sitting in the confirmed but unpaid phase. That meant something. It meant this party was still balancing on pending approvals, vendor favors, and good faith. And for the first time in years, I realized something about this family. They'd gotten too comfortable assuming I'd hold the corners together. I wasn't the planner. I wasn't even vocal. But I'd always stepped in, the quiet support who paid the bill when it fell short, stayed late to clean up, connected them with vendors I knew. I just never asked for credit. And they stopped offering it. So this time, I decided to let gravity work. I made 3 calls that first night. The vineyard was first. The estate Miles reserved was on a family-owned property managed by a friend of mine from grad school, Fiona. She ran the books, the bookings, and the backup plans. I sent her a short message. Hey. Just wanted to check in on that July reunion. Not involved this year, just a heads up, they may not be aware some of the past discounts were through me. Hope that helps. She wrote back. Whoa. I thought you were the one pulling it all together again. They name-dropped you when asking for those extensions. Of course they did. She confirmed no final payment had been made yet. Nothing was binding. Just a soft hold, one they need to confirm in full within 2 weeks. Good to know. The second call was to the caterer. I recognized the name from the email string, a boutique company I'd connected them to last year during another event. I wasn't involved in this booking, but I had a history with the chef. So I texted, "Heads up, I'm not involved with the July booking this time. Didn't want you thinking I was the liaison again." He called me. Said the quote he gave was based on the assumption I was behind the scenes. "They said you'd be reviewing the final numbers like last time." I corrected that. And then he told me something interesting. "We were just about to ask for a signed contract. If we don't get it soon, we'll release the weekend." Perfect. The third call was quieter. Not a vendor. Just a friend. Jen, who owns a staging and rental company, chairs, table settings, and the type of things that make a reunion look like a wedding. She'd been used for the last 3 family events. The only reason they got a discount was because I'd personally vouched for them. I told her to drop the discount and reassign the date if anyone else asked. She agreed. "You sure?" "Yeah," I said. "I'm not showing up this time. So either is the free labor." By the end of the week, the cracks had started. One cousin posted in the group chat about the caterer not responding. Another said the vineyard sent a "We need confirmation" email. Miles reassured them it was fine, just vendor nonsense, and someone probably hit the wrong form. I didn't correct him. I didn't say anything. Because I wasn't sabotaging them. I was just stepping out of the invisible role I'd been expected to fill. And the moment I did, things started to shift. By the second week of June, things were slipping. The group thread, which had started off cheerful and emoji-filled, now read like an overmanaged startup Slack channel. Too many updates. Too few answers. Someone asked if the wine tastings were still happening. Another asked if the guest rooms were still being cleaned ahead of time. Miles posted a vague reply about "waiting on confirmations," followed by 2 gifs and a long silence. And still, no one asked the obvious question. Why is everything suddenly falling apart? I watched from a distance. Read the messages. Stayed quiet. Until Jeremy, my older brother, posted a photo from a bar. He and Miles were in it, drinks in hand, smirking. Underneath, Jeremy commented, "Some people just aren't built for the big table. Stay where you fit." No one liked it. No one replied. But the damage was done. Because that wasn't a joke. That was a jab aimed directly at me. And it hit. Not because it was clever. But because it confirmed everything I hadn't said out loud. I'd been excluded on purpose. Not forgotten. Not overlooked. Cut. Because I'd stopped trying to force my way into a family that only seemed to remember I existed when something needed to be fixed. And now that I wasn't fixing things, they were annoyed that I was watching it unravel. I screenshotted the post. Not because I needed proof, but because I wanted to remember what pushed me over the line. That night, I called the vineyard directly. Asked to speak to the property manager. I explained that I had previously referred the family, that some of the vendor discounts had been granted under the assumption I was involved, and that I was officially revoking that connection. No drama. No accusations. Just, "Please ensure all future agreements are processed without my name or past involvement." They understood. I was polite. Friendly even. But I was clear. And after I hung up, I called the caterer. Told him the same thing. Then the rental company. Then the design print house I knew they were using for the welcome signs and family crest programs. All of them had been working off materials or contacts I'd provided in past years. All of them had assumed I was backing it again. Now they knew better. The next day, Miles posted a revised itinerary to the group. It was stripped down. No vineyard listed, just location pending. No reference to catering, only light refreshments. The live music section was gone completely. People started asking questions. Miles dodged them. And finally, someone asked, "Wait, is the reunion cancelled?" That's when he sent me a private message. Just 4 words. "Are you doing this?" I stared at it for a while. Then replied, "No. I just stopped." Miles called me the next evening. No text first. Just rang straight through. I let it go to voicemail. He called again 10 minutes later. This time, I picked up. He didn't waste time. What's going on? His voice wasn't angry. Just tight. Controlled. Like someone trying to keep a lid on something boiling fast. Everyone's asking questions. People are bailing. I just need to know, are you behind this? I didn't answer right away. Because it wasn't a real question. It was him fishing for something he could use to spin this. Something he could say to the rest of the family. See? She's bitter. She sabotaged us. But I hadn't sabotaged anything. I just stopped doing the invisible labor they never acknowledged. So I said, you planned an entire event using my contacts, my discounts, and my name without ever confirming I'd be involved. I didn't pull anything out from under you. You built this on borrowed ground. He let out a slow breath. You never said you wanted to be involved. And you never asked? Silence. Then, the tone shifts. Look, I didn't mean to upset you. This is just a lot. The venue's asking for full price now. The caterer dropped us. I've got family flying in who don't know the event is basically off. Can we just work something out? There it was. The pivot from control to begging. I kept my voice even. You didn't think I mattered enough to include. But now that you need something, I'm supposed to jump in and help fix it. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. He tried one more angle. This isn't just about you. This is a reunion. For everyone. Don't punish the whole family. That line, don't punish the family, landed like a slap. Because I was never the one doing the punishing. I was the one who got excluded, erased, minimized, over and over again. And now that their event was collapsing under the weight of its own entitlement, they wanted to call it punishment. If they're hurt, I said, maybe they'll understand how I've felt for the last 5 years. He didn't reply. I ended the call. I didn't hear from him again after that. But in the following days, the thread fell quiet. No more revised plans. No more itinerary PDFs. The last post was from my cousin Aaron. So are we just not doing this? No one answered. A few days later, my mom called. She knew. Not the details, but the shape of it. Her voice was soft. I heard the reunion's off. Seems like it. She was quiet for a moment. Did you have something to do with that? Not directly, I said. But I also didn't stop it. Why? I waited. Not because I didn't have the words, but because I wanted her to sit in the silence long enough to feel how many times I'd been left in it. Then I said, I got tired of being the afterthought that kept holding the room together. She didn't argue. She didn't apologize. She just said, I hope we can fix this. That's up to everyone else now. I replied. Not me. The reunion never officially got cancelled. No email. No announcement. It just died. Quietly. A few relatives tried to pivot, made noise about doing something smaller, maybe a backyard cookout. No pressure. But no one took the lead. No one wanted to. Because once the structure fell, nobody remembered how to carry the weight on their own. I didn't say anything. Didn't gloat. Didn't post. Didn't forward screenshots of Miles' breakdown or Jeremy's smirking comments to family friends. I didn't need to. The silence did all the talking. About a week later, I got a message from my cousin Erin. She's always been neutral, kind, but quiet. The type to show up with a dish and a hug, then slip out before the drama kicks up. She sent a simple text. Hey. I'm sorry. I stared at it for a minute before replying. For what? She responded almost immediately. For not saying something sooner. For watching them edge you out and pretending it wasn't happening. That hit. Because I hadn't expected anyone to say that, especially not her. But she didn't stop. You were right. You've always shown up. Covered things. Took the blame that wasn't yours. And they let you. We let you. I didn't cry. But I did feel something shift. Because that kind of message the kind that doesn't try to smooth it over, doesn't pivot to shared blame, doesn't say, I get both sides, is rare in families like mine. We talked for a while. She told me Caroline had been complaining about the fallout, but never once mentioned my name. That Jeremy pretended the reunion was never really confirmed. That Miles tried to say it was. Vendor problems. Erin didn't defend them. She just said, "They're used to someone else absorbing the blow." This time, no one did. I didn't tell her everything I'd done. I didn't have to. She understood. And she didn't ask for closure or reconciliation. She just wanted to say, "You didn't imagine it." And that was enough. In the days that followed, the family thread stayed quiet. One cousin left the group altogether. Another sent out an unrelated article, clearly trying to change the subject. Nobody acknowledged what had happened. Nobody said the word reunion again. It was gone, like it had never been planned in the first place. But I remembered every version of it. Every spreadsheet. Every misname. And I remembered how it felt to look at a list of people you share blood with and realize they're more comfortable pretending you disappeared than making space for you to sit down. I wasn't angry anymore. I was clear. And in that clarity, something loosened. For years, I'd been trying to belong. This time, I let myself see the truth. They'd built something I was never meant to be a part of. And when I stopped trying to fix it, they finally had to see what I'd been holding together. I thought a lot about whether to say something. Not to Miles. Not to Jeremy. Not even to my mom. But to the group. That thread, the one where everything had unfolded, where updates turned to silence, still sat pinned in my inbox. I opened it one last time. Read every message. Scanned the old itinerary. Looked at the timestamp on the photo where Jeremy joked about who did or didn't belong. Then I started typing. It wasn't long. It wasn't dramatic. No insults. No callouts. Just this. I didn't ruin the reunion. I just stepped away and let the weight fall where it always belonged. I've carried a lot of things for this family without being asked, without being thanked, and eventually, without being seen. If that made things easier, I'm glad I could help. But I won't be invisible to make anyone else comfortable again. Take care. I hit send. Then muted the thread for good. A few people replied. Nothing public. Just private messages. A cousin I hadn't spoken to in years wrote, "I saw what they did. I didn't have the guts to say anything. That's on me." Another sent, "I'm sorry. You deserve better." I appreciated those. Not because they fixed anything, but because they reminded me I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining the exclusion. I wasn't being sensitive. They saw it too. They just stayed quiet longer than I did. Summer passed. No reunion. No replacement event. Some people posted vacation photos. Others went quiet. There wasn't a second attempt. No. Next year we'll do better. Just the echo of something that collapsed the second the scaffolding, me, stepped back. I didn't want an apology. I didn't want to be invited to the next thing out of guilt. I just wanted them to sit in the space they created by pushing me out. And they did. That was enough. Months later, I went to dinner with a few friends, chosen family, the kind who notice when you leave the room and check that you come back. Someone made a joke about how hard it is to get people to show up to anything without someone organizing it. Every group needs that one person who quietly holds it all together, someone said. They all looked at me and smiled. But this time, I didn't laugh. I just said, "Not anymore." I still have the original reunion email. The one with the seating chart. It's buried in an archive folder labeled "Reunion, removed." I didn't save it out of spite. I saved it to remind myself what it looks like when people tell you exactly how little space they think you deserve, and what happens when you stop shrinking to fit the shape they left for you. They never made space for me. So I stopped asking. And when I finally stood up, they learned something I already knew. I was never lucky enough to be there. They were lucky I stayed as long as I did. Sometimes they don't cut you out all at once. They just stop making space. Stop saying your name. Stop asking what you need. And if you let them, they'll erase you gently, like it was kindness. Don't wait for an invitation that never comes. Don't chase a seat at a table where no one notices when your chair is empty. Build your own. And when they finally look for you, let the silence be the only thing they hear.